I'm the Global Talent Director for the Interquest Group. I've been in now for 7.5 years. I've been in recruitment for 23 years, getting on to 24. I wanted to be an accountant and realised really quite quickly that I'm really bad at maths. But I worked at the time as within the accounts department of a recruitment company. So I was looking at what the recruiters did and thought, oh, I'm quite good at talking. I'll give that a shot. And then 23 years later, I've sort of sat where I'm at now. So it'd be really good if I could get an understanding for yourselves of, what you were doing before you joined recruitment and what your roles are now and how long you've been here, if that's all right.
Yeah, so I'm Will. I've been in the team for about 5 months now as a DevOps recruitment specialist. But before this, I was working for a global insurer in their medical policy team. So it was a bit of a change of career for me.
That's good.
The reason I changed was that I just, it was something that I kind of fell into anyway, which is quite an odd job to fall into. And then when I left, I realised I had a lot of interchangeable skills, but the job itself was quite niche.
Yeah.
But I wanted something that was just a bit more exciting.
Yeah.
Something that changed up a bit every day. Something that got me back talking to people and things like that, because that's what I missed in my old job.
Cool.
So,
So 5 months so far?
Yeah,
excellent.
Good.
Brilliant.
I'm Katie, I've been here for nearly 10 months. Before this I was doing, I worked in a pharmacy for a little bit during COVID, but before that I was studying criminology and law at uni.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, similar to Will, I kind of did fall into it, but when I was working in a pharmacy I was thinking, what do I really want to do in terms of a career? And I love talking to people, and I thought, I'll have a look into recruitment, and I guess, I just ended up here.
So 10 months in?
Yeah, 10 months in.
I'm still smiling. Thanks.
It's a great time.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, so my name's Erin. I joined on the exact same day as Katie, went to the
cool.
same university as well.
Really?
Didn't know each other,
that's
but
nice.
no, yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, been here 10 months too. I did sociology at university just because I liked the degree. I didn't know what I wanted to get out of it. I just wanted to do something I enjoyed. And then I kind of just fell into recruitment. I think I didn't really know anything about recruitment beforehand. It was just more, it was recommended to me. People were like, you would be good in recruitment. Have you looked into it? And I was like, I've heard horror stories about recruitment. Absolutely not. But then 10 months later, and even a week in, like this company and just recruitment itself just changed my mind and my opinions completely, because it's nothing like what I thought it was going to be.
Good, so that's the sort of positive things we want to hear. And it's actually quite funny, because my next question I was going to ask you guys is, how did you find out about recruitment? And every single one of you said the same thing, you fell into recruitment. And I think one of the things that we struggle with as a talent team is that we're not very well renowned with individuals about the career options that are going within recruitment. It takes normally a recruiter to call somebody and actually explain what the job is in recruitment. So you touched base there that somebody recommended recruitment to you, which is great. Were they in recruitment themselves?
Well, so someone in recruitment did recommend recruiting, but it was a few people. So the first person said to me, I was like, oh, okay, no, I'm not listening. And then more people kept saying it to me. They were like, you would love recruitment, like you're built for recruitment. And I was just like, okay, so I started looking into it. And then my sister's best friend, he does tech recruitment as well.
Right.
And he's been doing it for like 5 years. So I spoke to him about it, and he was like, you will love it. Like you will love all aspects of the job, like the social side of it, like the gains you get from it, the opportunities, like just go for it and just see it. It was like, if you don't like it, what's the worst that can happen? You can just leave.
Yeah, that's really good. That's good. And Will, you mentioned that obviously you kind of picked up on the fact you got transferable skills from what you were doing into this role. Again, how did you actually understand about the career in recruitment?
Yes, I mean, I'd previously worked on the phones before at a call centre for a little bit, and it wasn't my favourite job. I did like speaking to people and getting out there and just chatting to people, and I knew that was something that would be quite similar here. That you get to meet people, you get to chat to them, and if you're quite outgoing, I think it's quite a good job for you. And really similar to Erin, I imagine most people, where they kind of got it recommended. Where if people like you as a person, then it's quite an easy job, because you get to put yourself out there and you just get to chat to people. It's just about making connections.
Yeah, cool. And Katie, what about yourself?
Yeah, so I remember being at uni, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my degree, and I remember meeting someone that had graduated just before, and he went into recruitment, and he was like, yeah, it's amazing. And I was thinking, like, did you use your degree to like do that? And he was like, no, but it obviously helps, like he's got a lot of confidence, and he was like, you should try it.
Yeah.
So then when I was working in lockdown, I was thinking, I'll put on my LinkedIn, I'm looking for a recruitment job. And quite a lot of people kept ringing me and just like telling me what the role was, and I thought, I could definitely do that.
Yeah, good. And I think it's really interesting actually, because I think you don't have to have a degree to be a recruiter, but I think what it does do is, if you are in that transition of coming out of university and you don't quite know what the next step is, because I actually think that probably 85 to 90% of people that are graduating don't actually know what the next step's going to be for them. It's good to hear that the word's getting out to people that it's an opportunity, and equally I'm not a graduate myself and I've been in it for many, many years, and I don't know about yourself, Will, if you are or not, but it's just about the confidence of, you know, knowing yourself, not being afraid to pick up the phone and build relationships and communicate with people. I remember myself in recruitment, I didn't know anything about it until the fact I was working in a recruitment company. I seriously looked over at these recruiters that were doing really well in their careers, and this is obviously before the boom of the 2000s. And I thought, well, they're talking all day to everyone, they're asking questions, being nosy and finding out things about people's lives, and they make, you know, great careers out of it, and, you know, they make a big change into things. And I thought, I could do that, and the next thing I know, I'm doing it, and then, you know, 20 odd years later. So it's really interesting to hear that from yourselves. I mean, obviously, you know, you touched base about transferable skills and sort of, you know, the areas where you're in it for quite a while now. You've been, you know, it's not that you've been in it for 2 minutes. I know obviously it's the start of your careers, but I think in most roles you can find it fairly quickly whether it's going to be right or not for you. What stood out to you about what skills and sort of, you know, personal traits that really, you know, emphasise that this is the right role for you then, in terms of what you bring into the role every day? If that makes sense.
Yes, I mean, I think being personable and being able to make connections, like I said, like I was on the phones previously, so that was something that I found quite comfortable with, and it's something I like doing, so I think that's really important.
Yeah.
But also I think, you know, you get like the freedom to sort of manage your own day and your own diary. So if you've got a bit of drive, or you're quite good at that, I think that can be really helpful as well, and something you need.
Yeah, quite a lot of autonomy to
exactly,
you know, almost
autonomy.
like Bill's, your desk, you know, it's like your business within a business, isn't it?
Exactly, because that wasn't at my previous job.
Yeah.
It's like you come in, this was like what you had to do that day, but here you kind of set it up for yourself, which is really fun actually.
And how did you feel? Because it's quite different from being on the phone in the call centre talking about, you know, it's quite scripted sometimes in call centres, isn't it? Versus what you're, you know, talking tech with people on the phone. How did you find that? Did you find that quite an easy transition, or?
I mean, that was something that, you know, I think in my previous job when I was doing that, they weren't too happy about, because I would go off script all the time anyway. So I thought, well, if I don't have to have a script, this is going to fit quite well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's quite good. You know, like I said, it's just about making connections. So it's like you just kind of have to put yourself out there a bit.
Yeah.
But it's just exactly building the rapport, just being like open and honest with people and things like that, and just having a good chat with them, really.
And caring.
Yeah, caring, exactly. Yeah.
About yourself, Katie, 'cause it's quite different, obviously, from what you were doing in the pharmacy and things.
Yeah, just even like in the pharmacy, I used to just enjoy helping people as well.
Yeah.
So you can come in, you can help a lot of people, you know, find out what they want to do in terms of their career, and also like it progresses your career at the same time. So it's very like mutual.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say it's mainly about like building relationships, and everyone like in the office is very like like-minded.
Yeah.
And because we work on like a range of markets as well, you know, you can really develop your career in whatever kind of relationships you can build, like based on your personality as well. So yeah, definitely like building relationships.
So you're kind of like to chat to people, like to get to know them and help. Has been a big thing for yourself?
Yeah.
And obviously people are recommending recruitment to yourself, Erin. Was that, do you think, because of your communication skills?
I think it's because I just don't stop talking.
I
think honestly, like, I just don't stop. Like I think it's Cam, he's just like Erin. But yeah, I love talking to people. I love finding out things about them as well. It's also like when I first started, I was like, I'm learning loads from the candidates, but they learn loads from us as well. Like, I spoke to people who've been in the same job for 10 years, and they don't understand that the market's changing. Their job, they should be on 20k more. And you tell them that and they think it's mental, like then you can just put them forward for so many opportunities. So it goes like both ways. You can teach people, they can teach you. But yeah, also I like the fact, like what Will said, you can get creative with your desk, that you're, if you're a bit quirky, if you're the loudest person, you're quiet in the office, as long as it works for you, no one's going to stop you from working how you want to do, as long as you're doing well and you're comfortable and you're speaking to people and you're getting what you need out of a phone call.
I think that's really important actually, because people sometimes perceive recruiters to be really loud, outgoing, and sometimes, you know, a bit too much. And I think it's not about that. You know, I've worked with some recruiters in the time that are really quite timid in the office, and they beaver away, they get their head down, and they're really, really successful because it's relevant to their markets. You know, their clients and the kind of roles that they were placed within penetration testing, within security, don't need someone at the end of the phone going, hi, you know, because that's not the type of candidates they're working with. So it's not always about having to be overly loud in recruitment and, you know, always talkative, but it's just having that confidence to have conversations with people and ask the right questions to get to know them, isn't it?
Exactly.
Which is the key thing. Okay, well thanks very much for that. I think, you know, the journey that you've been on is various different sort of levels there. What do you think has been, you know, the biggest learning curve in coming into this role, be that actually the role itself or your markets or what have you? What do you feel that, if you look back over the time you've been here, you thought, God, when I was going through that and really trying to understand it, that was pretty tough?
I think for me it was the tech. So you obviously come in and you know you might feel, I guess people at different levels, but quite confident on the phone or talking to people. But obviously recruiters are not, you know, technicians or whatever. Yeah. So sometimes the tech was a bit, you know, you'd be like, I'm not actually sure what this does, or I don't know what it is. But I mean, the support is really good, and people in the team who are more senior can give you the advice on it. And also just, you know, practice makes perfect. So the more you're doing it, the more you learn. I think that was the thing that, I mean, daunting maybe a bit over the top, but that was the thing at the time where I was like, that was the learning curve. Yeah. But I was also surprised at how quick you pick it up, just working with it every day. Yeah. And then having conversations with people who are really technical and being like, oh, actually, I almost sound like I know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, so, and I think that's the key thing as well. You've got to be interested in what you're talking about, because there are people over the time who sort of said to me, oh, you're a recruiter. Well, it is, but you need to be passionate about the things you're recruiting in. And, you know, with technology especially, if you've not got a real keen interest in tech and what's coming out and evolving, then you're not going to enjoy it. You know, you have to have that. And I think with learning the tech market, you will pick it up quite quickly because you're talking to those individuals all the time. But it's ever evolving, so you're never going to stop learning, because there will be a new tech that comes out that you've never heard of, and someone will say it and you think, oh, I have to go and Google that, research that a little bit, and then you'd be more fascinated about the new stuff that's coming out. So that's really interesting. What about yourselves, ladies?
I would say, same kind of as Will. Like, it's daunting at first. Like, when I first started, I was like, there is no way I'm going to learn all of this. Like, how did these guys do it? Like, I started with my colleague Josh, who'd been here a month before me, and he just seemed like he knew exactly what he was doing. And I just couldn't picture myself being like that. And then my manager said the best thing to me, and it just helped me so much. He was like, you're going to learn 70% of recruitment in 3 weeks. He was like, you're going to learn all of it. He was like, once it clicks, it clicks. And I was just like, that's not going to happen. I remember me and UK having conversations about it. We were just like how are we going to learn all this? But you just do pick it up. Like, it's just so easy to listen to the people around you. And also, like, you can ask the people next to you 1,000 questions, and they'll appreciate that you're asking questions rather than just sitting there in silence. Because I think even the new people that have started with us, if they're not asking questions, I'm just thinking, you don't know what you're doing, but then they do. They just chat your ears off, because that's what you kind of need to get done out. That's what you need to push yourself forward for. But you do learn everything very quickly, and it kind of feels like you've been thrown in the deep end, but that is the best way to do it.
A bit intense.
But it's the best way, because you can just in a month's time you can just get into work and pick up your phone and you know exactly what you're doing, rather than just like pairing up with someone. Like, I know a lot of other recruitment companies, like my friend works in another one, and they do everything in pairs. And I just think I'd rather have my own desk space and learn by myself. Like, it's so much easier. But that was a bit of advice from here, and I think that just really helped me.
And I think it's true, and I think also you need to be able to have people around you to ask questions from, but you also need to know that you're going to have your way of doing it. And if everyone's expected to do the same thing at the same time, it's never going to work, because you're different personalities, and you're going to word something different to somebody else. And I think just the questioning that you mentioned there's never such thing as a silly question when you learn something, because if you don't know, you don't know. Yeah, you only know what you know.
One of my managers said, if you ever have like a situation where you don't really know what to do, ask 3 other people in the office, and then see how they work in different ways, and see like what way would work best for you. Brilliant. So that's really good advice as well.
3 people also give you 3 different answers. You'll never get the same one.
But actually, in different situations, you might use all of those, but just slightly differently in different times. What about yourself, Kate, in terms of your learning curve?
Yeah, very similar to Erin's actually. Like, obviously you go in and you're managing your own desk. It's very like individual work, like straight away. But then, whenever I've needed help, I've just asked the person next to me or asked my manager. And like, it's just every day when you don't know something, you just pick up like new information. So you do really get that kind of development.
So one of the things that I think in recruitment, those first 12 months are always really difficult, and if you can get past 12 months in recruitment, I generally think you know that this is the career path for you forever. And I've always said it's one of these things that gets under your skin, and once it's there, you're not moving, you love what you do. But in those first 12 months, there are times where you will go home and question whether it's the right role for you, and you will have days where you think, oh my God, is it all worth it? You know it is, and it's just a day that's beating you up slightly, and the next day is slightly better. For you, what's been the thing that's really pulled you through those hard times, when you are having those days where you just think, oh, this is so hard and it's really stressful? What have been the things that made you come in the next day with a new attitude, a bit more of a spring in your step than the day before? What have you motivated yourself, I suppose, in essence?
Well, I guess we've got a good team here,
Mhm.
so having like good management and really good senior people around us. So obviously part of recruitment is like dealing with rejection basically and setbacks, because that's just bound to happen. It's part of the job. But having people that can like give you advice on how they've dealt with it, or just seeing people doing well and knowing that if you keep at it, you can keep doing well. So it's like a bit of resilience, and I think just not letting yourself get your head down, because it's one of those things where the more you put in, the more you get out. And I think it's just making sure that you're always aware of that. And some days are gonna be harder than others, but when it's good, it's so good. So it's just remembering like, it's not gonna last forever if you're having a bad day or a bad week.
Yeah.
You just got to keep getting away at it. But yeah, I think that was the big thing for me.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, similar really. When I started, if something went wrong, I'd be like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. Like, how am I ever going to overcome this? But then you have such good days, and I think you get more and more used to the rejection. So over time, it's like, oh yeah, that's a bit annoying, but we have better days anyway. And yeah, the like rewards and benefits from doing well is just, it outweighs like the bad things that happen along the way.
Yeah.
It's like a journey really.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly the same. Like a rejection of an offer is pretty bad, but getting an acceptance is so amazing. Like when you get the buzz, and then you just want, where's the next one? Where's the next one? So that's what pushes you. And then if you get a rejection, you're like, well, I've lost this one, so now I need two. Like you just have to keep pushing it. And yeah, like Will said as well, our team and our managers are really motivating. If they know if they can see like we're a bit down about something, they will pull us into a room and be like, okay, now what's the plan then? What are we going to do to fit like what's next? So you're always always kept on the ball with things.
Yeah, so planning really, I mean, having a good team around you and having a plan about what it is you want to achieve. I think no one's successful without a plan behind it, and no plan ever goes to plan, does it? It always has this little offsprings to it, but just, I think having the right people around you in this job, when you are in one of those moments that have been there on the journey with you, felt it themselves, is really important to actually pick you back up, put a fictitious arm around you and be like, come on guys, we're in it together, we have these days and we get cracking. But you just mentioned the placement, how it feels when you make that first placement. I mean, for you, how did that feel? I mean, obviously for yourself, it sounded, Erin, that you were almost like ready to hit the ceiling with excitement about the fact that you've made your placement.
Yeah, I think I had 2 rejections before I did my first placement.
Okay.
So I was buzzing, because like your team is so happy as well. Everyone was like, oh, I'm going to get you a drink, we're going to do this, like you've done it, you've put your name on the board, get your number out, we do send emails around, like to say congratulations. It's just, the team just really lifts you up, but also it's not even just the money, obviously that really makes you happy, but it's just the fact that you're on the path to success, like you know what you're doing now, you know you're good at this job, and the more offers come, the more it's just the rewards are just amazing.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think that's something else that keeps you going as well, is that because you're out there making connections with people, sometimes you actually really do make a connection with your candidate or with a client. Then you're like, I actually really want to help this person. So you might meet them for a drink or out for lunch and things like that, and that's really good, where you actually can see or speak to someone where you're actually helping them. Whether it's getting them a raise or getting them into a career that they much prefer, and then them being like, you get them saying like thanks at the end. And even if you don't get them the job, you get people that are really appreciative just because you've helped them in the process, and I think that keeps you going as well, because you can like sort of feel like you're making a difference.
Yeah.
That's something that helps every day when you're getting on with people and making like actual connections.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, similar. When I made like my first placement, the person I placed, he was like posting on LinkedIn, like, I'm really grateful that I've had this opportunity. And then one girl, she even did like a podcast on how she like moved from another country, then she like worked, she studied in the UK, and now she's got like a job who like sponsors her to work, and she's like really grateful. It's just really good to see.
And you were a paid part of that. Yeah.
Really
I think sometimes we forget, in the industry, just how much of a difference we do make to people. You can't just see it as a job and you're making placements. You are actually changing somebody's life. They've got a family that's attached to that, so that raises coming in, especially with the cost of living. That extra money's coming into their family, it's going to help their children, and it's a really wonderful feeling, isn't it, to hear them and then overly excited when you make that placement, to know that you've played a key part in that. And I think equally, like you mentioned, if you build a good relationship with your client, you can also, especially if you're working for the smaller sort of SME type businesses, and you place a really good person into them, you can really see the impact that you've just made on that business, and that's somebody's life that's gone into building that business out, and you've just played a key role in putting that technical person in there to really excel it. And I don't think that feeling never really goes away. I think if you've got that joy at the beginning, it will all stay with you all the way through, because you're doing it for the right reasons. So So what advice would you guys give if you've got somebody right now that's listening to this podcast that is in that position where they're maybe in a career they're not happy with, or they're just starting to think about what their career path is going to look like? What advice would you give them about recruitment? Why would you say this is the right career path for somebody that's ambitious and driven?
Well, I think something that kind of gets overlooked, or I didn't know about until I sort of joined here, is that there's actually like a really clear progression path. You're not just a recruiter and that's it for the rest of your life. There's lots of managerial opportunities, all going like into different companies. But I think that's something that I wasn't aware of really. But it's actually really interesting to me that there's like a really cool progression path. So it's not like you're then just a recruiter and you're stuck at that base level. There's like a lot of upward trajectory. And I think it's really, especially here at this company, it's really clearly set out how you get that. And I think that's something that, if you feel like you're stagnating in your role or something like that, you don't really get that here because it's really clear, how you go up and how to do it. Yeah. So that's something that I think if people feel like they're a bit stagnated, it's a really good option.
Excellent, good.
Yeah, it definitely opens a lot of opportunities, and as well you make like a lot of relationships with people inside and outside of work. So there's always that opportunity just from your relationships that you build here.
Yeah, build another sort of friendship group as well inside a workplace.
Yeah, no, I agree with both of them, but also it's just so much fun. Like, you work hard, play harder. Like, the incentives that we get here, the teams we work with, the people, like all the people I work with are my friends. Like, we talk outside of work. And again, like you said with the candidates, I had a candidate before who I placed, and he was dancing around the kitchen with his wife. Like, it's so rewarding. It's so fun to work. Like, you make people so happy. And yeah, if you're driven and you want to progress quickly, I'd say definitely recruitment. Like, my first day here, they were like, oh, by the way, to get promotion, you need to do this, this, and this, and that's it. There you go. Yeah. There's your objectives for the year. Like, it's just all set out for you. Everyone here wants you to do well. No one's trying to hold you back to keep you as a trainee consultant. Like, they want you to go on further. Good. So it's pretty amazing.
Good. I mean, we use the hashtag sort of Interquest Family quite a lot in the sort of stuff that we put out to the market, and that hasn't been anything that's been created by myself or the marketing team. It's generally come from sort of surveys that we've done internally and how people feel. How do you feel about being a part of the Interquest family? Do you believe in that value that actually we are, we're a company, but your team is like your work family and you're in it together?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think it's something that every company kind of says that, and I think it's really rare to actually find a company that sort of lives what they say. Yeah. Because previous companies I've worked in, they say that, and you're like, oh, I don't want to speak to any of these people. Leave me alone. But I think here it's completely different. And I think it goes up through the levels. So you can be like in the lift with someone, some like the managing directors and stuff, and they'll stop and have a chat with you and things like that. Or like when new people join, and then just being friendly with them, going out for a drink or getting some food, or just helping them around the office. Like, everyone makes each other feel really welcome. And I think, I was a bit taken aback by that, because I knew, like, at my previous job, it was like quite a corporate thing. And I was a bit like, oh, actually, people are actually nice, and it doesn't seem like they're doing it for their job. They're doing it because they are just good people. Good. So I think for me, that really enjoyed that.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's like strange, but it's really good to be like in a culture where everyone does really get on. Like, there's no one that's like out of place, and like if you have a bad day, everyone will support you and just like pick you back up. So it is definitely like a family. Like, no matter what you do get like support. Good.
Yeah, I think the same. Also, like what we also, there's no hierarchy here. Like, you walk in and the CEO will say hello, like, just to talk to you, everyone just talks to everyone. Whereas even when I worked in like a retail job, the manager would just like walk around with like a crown on, and I was just like, oh god. But yeah, like the whole team, everyone just cares about each other. And I think probably the worst part of the job is that you're just tempted to go out all the time. Like, people are like, oh, do you want to go for lunch? And you're like, oh, right then. And you're just like, I haven't got any money. I'm on a diet. But you just want to spend all your time with the people you work with because you are so close. So yeah, that's the worst part of the job. You end up going out too much.
I mean, there's a lot of worse things out there in life, right? Yeah. So, I mean, no regrets then around the table about starting a career in recruitment. We're all single, very happy, and we'll certainly promote it as a career choice of option, 100%, Fantastic, that's what we want to hear. Well, look, thanks guys ever so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and hopefully if anyone that's listening to this has become of value, get in touch, have a conversation, find out what your journey could look like.